Welcome to another Insider Gridiron Report. I'm Jarret Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. We're here on the beautiful Texas Tech campus as usual, and man, it's really getting close, Joe, to football season. I can see your excitement. It's crazy because I think everybody involved with Red Raider, athletics, I don't say fatigue because it's been awesome, but man, every season lasted so long. There's been years where there was months in between stuff, and now it just seems like a matter of weeks between the end of baseball season to now. Boom, Big 12 Media Day. We'll start fall camp and then right into football season. So, I guess it depends on how you look at it. I'm excited to talk about some tangible things here, and part of that will be Big 12 Media Day. Matt Wells' first Big 12 Media Day. I don't know about you, Joe, but I'm expecting a very different type of presentation than in recent years.
Yeah, people who are used to Cliff Kingsbury will be in for a little bit of a shock because, Matt Wells is going to be more like a Bob Stoops kind of a guy. Yeah. Very, very blunt, very direct, he's just a completely different sort of a personality from Cliff Kingsbury. We've talked about it before, and so it's going to be a definite switch up, and I think most people will appreciate that, we'll just have to see how it goes.
I've been there. This will be my, I think, 7th Big 12 Media Day since coming over to this website covering Texas Tech, but I think it's like 8th or 9th overall. And every time I was there, when Cliff Kingsbury was there, I think he decided not to do an opening statement.
Yes.
I expect Matt Wells to have a pretty lengthy opening statement. Like you said, different personalities. Kingsbury wasn't really big into talking with the press, and I think Matt Wells likes to talk. He wants to sell his program, so that'll be very different. I really like some of the all the players that are going. The really good interviewees. Travis Bruffy is going for a second year. He went last year as well. He's as good of an interview at the college level as you could ask for. He's a great interview. Broderick Washington, you want to talk about being blunt and telling it like it is. Boy, he makes those sports information directors a little nervous because he'll say, he'll just call it like it is. I love Broderick. He's one of the best players in the Big 12, honestly. Definitely one of the best players on the team and one of my favorite personalities I've ever covered. I'm really excited to be able to talk to him there in Arlington at Jerry World at Big 12 Media Day. Douglas Coleman's another guy. He is sneaky interesting, if that makes sense. Louisiana guy, you ask him a couple of the same questions that he normally gets, he'll give you a pretty cold, cool, short answer. But you ask him some stuff, kind of delve a little deeper, he gives you some interesting things, Monty Joe. I like Douglas Coleman. He is an interesting dude. And then one of my personal favorites, I think you kind of make fun of me about I just enjoy watching him play football, is Jordan Brooks. I think he is grossly underrated. I think if Tech had more team success, especially last year, I honestly thought he was better than Dakota Allen last year. I thought Jordan Brooks was the better player last year. Just a terrific football player. He's going to be a 4-year starter. This will be his 4th year there at linebacker. He's another guy. If you ask him kind of the generic question, he's going to give you a very generic answer. But if you delve a little deeper, Jordan Brooks is a really interesting guy. What do you think about those group of guys? Also, Adrian Fry is doing some kind of a younger leadership deal that, I don't know, Texas Tech hasn't explained exactly what, but he's going to be in attendance as well. I love Adrian Fry, great interview. But what do you think about that group of players that are going to be there in Arlington?
Yeah, well, Bruffy is probably, I don't know, maybe the most eloquent and enthusiastic guy I've ever seen in college football or close to it. And it was a no-brainer that he was going to be there. That's a guy, I don't know what his future is going to be in football, but I tell you, if he is not, well, I won't say that, but politician-wise, this is a guy you could see him being a big-time politician if he wants to go down that route. Yep. But he may have too much character for that. What can I say? A great guy to talk to. Broderick Washington. That's the most maybe respected guy on the team by the other players. So it's you got to have him there as well. Jordan Brooks is a guy, I always thought he was kind of underrated as an interviewee. Yeah. He's not quite as dynamic as a Bruffy or anything like that, but he has a pretty good head on his shoulders, and he gets his point across pretty well. And Coleman is just one of those guys who's been around an awful long time. You know, he's a veteran senior player, and you know, he has some material to put out there as well.
You know, I'm gonna be honest. I told you how many times I've been to Big 12 Media Day. They kind of run together, you know. And by the time I get to Big 12 Media Day, I'm excited to talk to these guys, but I'm also like, okay, I'm ready for the season. You know, I want to see these guys practice, and I want to see the games. What do you get out of Big 12 Media Day? Just when you're consuming information, do you even read stuff like information from Big 12 Media Days? And I know you've covered it before. Like, what do you personally get out of Big 12 Media Day, Mighty Joe?
You know, it just it really varies so much from coach to coach and player to player. You know, I mean, Kingsbury, to be perfectly honest, you're just not going to get a whole lot of value out of him. But then, I mean, you know, there's a guy like, I mean, listen, I formed my first impression of Art Briles at Big 12 Media Days. And it was a kind of a complicated first impression. You know, my thought was, okay, this is an extremely charismatic, confident sort of a guy, but there was something about him.
Right.
You know, there was something that I said, this dude is no good.
Your spider sense was
yeah,
going
exactly.
over, right?
There you go. That's it. That's it. So you know, it's always interesting. And then a guy like a Bill Snyder was a very. He's one of those guys that was just very, very blunt, and it didn't suffer fools very easily. If you ask a silly question, you know, he just give you one of those looks, and you probably feel like you're about that tall. Yeah, it's his Indian note. Yeah, and so you know, it is kind of interesting, I think, to see the different coaches, and you know, because we don't always get to see them in person during the season, but here's an opportunity to do that, and to me, that's probably the most valuable and interesting thing about it.
I know both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State will be there on Tex Day, so I'm looking forward to that. I can't remember who else is with them, but it's not Texas.
Well,
I can't remember.
Gundy's kind of an interesting guy.
He is. You know what? Whether he has the mullet or not, or whatever, you know, or he's telling everybody how old he is, you know, then he's a man. You know, he's the kind of guy, like, you know, growing up, we have a group of friends, and you always have that guy that you don't really like, but he's entertaining. You still always hang out with him. That's what Gundy reminds me. You know, like, he's good for a story. You know, he's going to have some kind of confrontation, which is going to entertain the whole group and give you something to laugh about and talk about. So to me, that's Gundy. He's also a hell of a coach. He's had a lot of success. So I'm looking forward. I really am. I think because there are so many new faces, new Big 12 coaches. It is a different landscape now, obviously including Matt Wells. So I'm looking forward to going and covering Big 12 Media Day for the first time in a while there. I know this year it's been at Frisco the last couple of years. I'm glad it's going back to Arlington. I think they do it better at Jerry World than at Frisco at the Star there. So I'm looking forward to it. But Mighty Joe, great stuff from you as always. Thank y'all for watching, and until next time.